This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Our goal with our videos is to empower you to be able to do the repairs on your own and save a whole lot of money and also get that great feeling of having fixed it by yourself. Today we have a Samsung electric dryer that will not turn on when we go to start it. It just clicks and the timer counts down, but it won't spin and won't start. It's due to a broken belt. So first thing we're going to do is use a paint scraper or a screwdriver to push in on two clips here in the front. That's going to release the top panel, and then the top panel will hinge back away. We're going to remove these screws. I'm sorry, this footage is a little backwards. This is the reassembly, but these are the screws you want to take out from the front panel to release it. Just didn't have that footage, but these are the ones of those same screws going back in near the end, but these are the ones you want to take out. And then once we get those screws out, there's a couple on the top of the front panel that we have to remove. So again, you can just hinge this panel back, and then there's these three screws here at the top we're going to take off. Then we'll be able to lift the front panel up and off. And that's how we get to the belt. And these are just Phillips head screws. So lift up, and we're going to take a pair of pliers to loosen up this modular connector for the door switch. We're going to kind of wiggle and pull to the left to remove that. And we can take off the front panel, get that out of the way. This part, the bulkhead, we're going to remove these four screws to get it off, and then there's a couple screws here on the bottom filter ducting that we want to remove. We're going to pull out the filter, and this is going to allow us to get this whole assembly off the front, and then we have good access to be able to reach in and put on the new belt. We'll put a description below on where you can order that new belt. They're pretty cheap. So I'm lifting that off, and I'm going to pull this ducting off also. Lift the filter out of there. And pulling up, and then pulling it out toward me. There's still going to be one electrical connector onto this big manifold piece, and you can either disconnect it or you can leave it on and just kind of put this whole piece off to the side. We do have to remove one modular connector at the top here too, this green one. We're going to pinch in and pull that off, and then we'll get it out of these little plastic clips that's holding it, kind of untwist them. There we go. Now we can lift up. Just going to move that off to my right just to get it out of the way. So we grab the new belt, and we're going to, here's what the old one looks like. Here's the new one. We're going to make sure the ribbed rubber part is pointing down toward the tumbler. And while I have it open, I'll clean a couple of things real quick with a vacuum. Just getting this lint out of here is good to avoid fire danger, and also it'll run better because it has better airflow. So I bent this piece back so I had better access to the heater. I got to remember to bend it back when I'm done. Remove a big chunk. This is where a dryer fire could start because it's right next to the element. Be careful not to hit that element. It's kind of fragile. Here's the new belt. I'm going to put that over, again, the rib part, the rubber part facing down. I'm going to get it up over the tumbler, and then I'll get it all the way back over where the old mark was from the previous belt. You can kind of see it leaves a mark, and then I'll spin it a couple of times to make sure it's all lined up, and I'll reach in underneath and I'll get it over the idler wheel, and then I'll move the idler. I'm going to bend that thing back. I'll move the idler wheel to the side. It's under spring tension, and then I'll loop the other part of the belt over the smaller wheel, which is the motor wheel. This is all kind of done blindly. You just do it by feel. This is how we route that belt, and we're seeing this from the other side, but I'm going to be pulling with my right hand on that big white wheel to the right as my left hand loops the belt over that smaller pulley. And then once we get it on, we can go ahead and put it back together. I'm just spinning it a couple of times to make sure that the belt stays on before I do the final reassembly. And you may notice that if you have it on correctly, the little fan blades down in the lower left-hand corner will be spinning too. So we got it all cleaned up. We got the new belt on. We're going to put the rollers underneath the tumbler. We're going to lift up and guide these little prongs into the frame on the right side and left side. And they kind of help support it until you put the screws in. I'm adding those 4 screws back in. And this part of the dryer is what holds up the front of the tumbler. Okay, we got those on tight. We have to add this cowling down here underneath. Sped up the camera a little bit, but this is where the filter goes. We're going to feed it in first up into the top, and then we'll bring the bottom into position, and then we'll add those screws. So these belts tend to last about 4 or 5 years. We'll put the filter back in. And now we just have to put the front panel back on. And guide those wires back into their little clips that hold it, and then reconnect this white modular connector. That's for the little light that goes on when you open the door. Got that. And now we're going to take the front panel. Before we put it on, we're going to make sure we push in this modular connector for the door switch. Really important. Make sure it's fully seated all the way in. And then you're going to lift that panel up a little bit to get it to sit down on the frame, and then we're going to add those screws to hold it back in. So we have 3 here at the top. So this top panel actually looks a little askew. I had trouble undoing the clip, so I took off some screws from the back, but normally you would have this top panel hinged up. So I'm just putting it back on its clips in the front, and I'll push down on the front to have that click into place. And then I'll add these screws to the front. These ones are a different kind of screw. They have, instead of a pointy tip, they have a flat tip. They're called machine screws, and threads are a little bit closer together. And then these ones down here are a sharp looking one, the ones that go into the filter area. But the screws that go in holding on the front panel up here, these are those machine screws with the flat tip. So once we have all those screws in, we're pretty much done. We can give it a test. Plug it in, turn it on, and back to normal, purring like a kitten. and nice amount of air coming out here too. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for watching our video. We really appreciate your support. And when you get a chance, please press the subscribe button below so you can be subscribed, and also the notification bell so we can send you more videos about appliance repair. Please also give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. If you really liked the video and it really helped you, please press this new applaud button and you can show your support and also get a nice clapping hands for your video. Thanks again.